Hello from gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and it's raining this morning, just a little bit, just enough to make the whole place feel nice and fresh. Well, I have some things looking very nice in the garden at the moment, so I hope you'll come along with me and we can have a look together. So we've just walked from over there on that little path down here, and as you can tell there's a lot of blossom going on in the garden just at the moment, and it's looking very spring-like, which of course is a very good thing because we're in spring. And that shrub over there, the bride, is looking really well at the moment, flanked by some peonies. And this is a tree peony that's really looking good. And as I zoom in here, I see behind it the yellow trolleus is just about to open. Poor splattered tree peonies, they've gotten quite wet in the rain, but they still look good. And there's that trolleus, that macrantha, the bride, and we have some rhododendrons coming into flower here at the back. And they're nice ones with buds that start out pink and then the flowers open to white. Just beyond the bush we have Magnolia stellata, which is just finishing. A few blooms left. And just beyond it, the white double cherry blossom, which is actually in full flower at the moment and really looking quite magnificent. This is my favourite cherry blossom and I absolutely love it. We'll see some double pinks in a little while. And then just moving over here, let me see. Oh yes, I want to show you my Joshi's tree. So this is a tree we brought from our previous address in Wicklow. It's an Acer rufinerve. There it is there. We're zooming in on it now. And it's one that you buy for the bark rather than the leaves or anything else. And as you can see, it really has a really interesting bark with these white lines on it. It's a small tree. And even though this has been down here more than 18 years, it's not very big. And its flowers are quite insignificant. And here we have a close-up of the flowers of this tree, which you really wouldn't notice unless you went looking for them over here as well. Interesting. And Joshi's favourite colour was green as well, so that's kind of appropriate. And as you can see, everything is waking up and just beginning to grow. Don't mind those there. I pruned the Paeonia tree just yesterday, and that's why the branches are still hanging around the garden. And of course I pruned the Paeonia tree so that it will get enormous leaves rather than just producing a very tall tree with flowers. And I made a video about that a while ago, so you can check that out at the end of this video. I'll put a link to it there. And over here I was doing a bit of weeding, which we won't dwell on just at the moment, except to say, except to say that my favourite rhododendron of them all, I just tripped over the weeds there, Lady Alice Fitzwilliam, is just coming into flower. And this, oh the scent here, oh the scent, this is the most amazing scent. And she's just waking up now, just coming into flower. And there is such a freshness in that scent. Something about it just makes you want to live. An amazing rhodo that I can't recommend enough. But yeah, slight bit tender, which is why I have it planted back there. My Trillium still looking good. I managed to break a branch off yesterday because I had to move Lathyrus aurea, which was behind it, and oh my god, that thing has such a deep taproot. So that's where I moved it to. I'm not sure if it'll actually survive. Luckily I didn't do the Trillium any harm, just broke off one of its stems, but I'm sure it'll be grand. Right, so I'm still weeding this bed, so we won't look at it too closely. But down here we have Calanthe at the back, those ones there, which are, well, I don't see any flower stems yet, but doing really well. And there's the first of my Cypripedium to come up. But what I really brought you over here was to show you something really quite amazing. And we'll just walk down here. Now, just yesterday we cut back the Pachyphragma, which is that plant there that is looking a bit trampled on at the moment, but that's okay, because after it flowers you cut it back and then you end up with fresh new growth, and you don't end up with a load of seedlings in your bed. And just behind it, do you see that? This is Cardiocrinum giganteum, and this is one I've grown from seed. It took 2 years for the seed to germinate, and after that, when it was planted in the garden, it has taken 7 years to flower. So 9 years in total. And here we have its first flowering, which is absolutely amazing and delightful, and I really can't wait for it. Now, this is going to be spectacular. It's the giant Himalayan lily, and it's an amazing, amazing thing. Okay, I'll show you just now. I have a second one in the garden which wanted to flower last year but had a little bit of a mishap. So we're going to leave that one there and just walk over to where we were a second ago. Okay, so at the back here behind the Trillium, there's the other Cardiocrinum, the one that flowered last year, but the stem broke and the flower faded before it could really do anything spectacular. But luckily, this plant produces offsets, and what we're looking at now is an offset, which is really good, because after 9 years of growing this thing from seed, you don't want to lose it because of a big gust of wind. And I will take you now back down here in the garden, and we will go down to the other side and see what exciting things we can see in bloom there. And it's just so nice to see everything waking up and beginning to do its stuff. Well, these Japanese Acers always look so sad in winter, like they're horrible dead things, but once they do this and clothe themselves with their leaves, they can be forgiven for a multitude. Absolutely loving this little acid green euphorbia on the red stems. It's populated that area quite nicely. Really pleased with it. Oh, Calicanthes bush has buds. It will soon be in flower, and this is a really, really pretty shrub. Can't wait for that to come. Okay, so that's Magnolia Star Wars just on the left, still flowering really, really nicely. See? Super. And let's see if this little pulsatilla below it is still worthy of sticking the camera in its face. Well, just about. Pulsatillas are amazing plants because after they flower, the seed head is just as ornamental as the as the flower, isn't it, pussy? It is. Now you're not going to wreck my pulsatilla, are you? No. You want your breakfast, do you? Yeah, don't we all? You have to wait till I finish this video. Yep. Okay. Let's take a meander down further in the garden. And We just walk over here a little bit. And Pussy's going to stalk us now for the rest of the journey, I can tell. And we see these borders looking well. Oh yes, Mathiasella. Look at that. Don't you just love that green flower? I'm completely in love with it. And we have lots of coming there. Don't mind this bush. That's a viburnum, which is just about to flower. Well, it is very nice when it's in flower. And here's the back of the Mathiasella flower. And lots of them coming. Really, really love it. There she is down there, flanking us. Now, you see a lot of tree stems sticking up, and the tall ones there. And these are my tetrapanics. And they lost a lot of their leaves this winter. Must have been a bit harsh for them. But they are quite hardy in my garden, and now they're just beginning to resprout their leaves. As we can see down here with this one here. And very soon we're going to have a nice big canopy to kind of adorn the borders. So that'll fill in there nicely. Okay, so moving over here past the mandrake. Oh yes, this is mandrake. You know, the one in Harry Potter where it screams during the repotting. And it has flowered, and now it's producing lush growth. And usually it produces fruits, quite poisonous fruits, but fruits nevertheless. But I don't see any here at the moment. It looks quite healthy though. And then further across, a fig tree with figs. I probably should have removed these. Oh, they haven't rotted. We'll see how it goes. And Pussy likes to scratch the bark of my trees. Little horror. Okay, so then just moving over here, and I'm just thinking what I can show you. And obviously the cherry blossoms are looking well at the moment. This one is really looking well, and the big one in the centre, the Kanzan, is just going over. And I'm going to insert a little shot I took of these two trees in flower together just like 2 days ago. So it's very quick when it goes past. I mean, it still has plenty of pink bloom, but it is on the decline at the moment. And this cherry blossom tree was Joshy's favourite one, the double pink one. Which is strange because, you know, we got birth trees for our children. Yet when they grew up, their choice of tree was often different to what, always different to what we had decided to give them. But that's only a story of the development of personality, isn't it? Euphorbia mellifera, looking well there. And we have a tree peony here. Now this one is just a bit taller than the last one we saw. Taller than me. I'm 5'2", and we have the first flowers starting. See the yellow dots there? It's a lutea, the yellow one, and I'm walking the border here and just show you that. Just beginning to open up. This one is very pretty. And this border here has had quite a rejig this spring. Just a lot of things were too close to each other, so I dug them up and replanted them, and it's looked quite well. And here we have Stipa gigantea, the grass you saw me cut not very long ago, and look how well it has responded. So you wouldn't know looking at this that it had ever been cut this spring, and very soon it's going to start sending up its plumes. In fact, it's doing it already. If we go in here, we can see, there we go, the first of the plumes coming up. So it just looks like it's never been cut, but it looks just a hell of a lot neater than it would have done if I hadn't cut it at all. So I think it's a job well worth doing. Okay, so we're just going to walk over here a little bit, and I just want to say that the garden is a work in progress. It isn't ready to open yet, so you're getting a sneak preview. And what I've decided to do this year is to leave cutting the edges until later on. So normally what I do is I cut the grass edges as I weed, and well, this one doesn't look too bad, and that just gives the whole place a more pristine, neat appearance. And just for time's sake, I thought what I'd do this year is just to weed and then do all of the edges in one fell swoop at the end. So that hasn't been done yet, and yeah, just a different plan. Okay, have to show you this little wood anemone, and I am completely besotted and in love with wood anemones. Now this one is just going over now, but I am going to try and find a flower that is looking better than the others, like this little gem, for example. Oh, thank you, pussy. Right, so this is anemone vestal, and it's got this double bit in the middle, which I am absolutely weak over. I love it. This is my favourite wood anemone, which I perhaps mentioned already, and this year I divided it into 3 and set up 2 pieces elsewhere in the garden, so I hope to see this, well, I hope to enjoy this in many places in the garden soon. And Veratrum looking really good with its corrugated leaves as it opens. If it doesn't get sunburnt or eaten by slugs, this is such a gorgeous plant. It could probably do with being in a little bit shaded, more shaded area than there, but I've had it here for more than 5 years and it does fine, really. Flowers for me and everything, so I think I might just leave it. I dug up a bit of it. There were 3 of them, dug up one of them already this spring, and you'll see it in a minute. Okay, in here you can't see anything in there, but if we look in here in the bushes, do you see my trilliums? Right, I so have to dig up and move these trilliums. That should be my job for later today, because they are completely wasted in here. How can you even enjoy that at all? So that is my job for today. We'll definitely take those up. And then just moving across here past the rhodo, this polygonatum. It's my favourite one. It's variegated and so pretty. And it's putting on a nice show this year. It has spread really well, and I'm very pleased about that. Let's see. Okay, so this is a flouncy bouncy cherry blossom, looking good. Camellia Debbie is just finishing, and she had a bit of a mishap because she's an elderly lady now. She is, oh gosh, she's 19 years, 20 years old at least, and she is very big. And what happened was, in one of the big winds, it broke her branches and she started to split in the centre. So I've had to strap her up with the most ugly Dayglow blue rope, because you can't get rope in any other blooming colour. It's terrible. Now, however, it seems to be doing the job, and you don't see the rope unless you get down like this. And I've pruned her a good bit just to reduce some of the weight that was dragging the plant down. And there's a bramble. I need to get a glove on and go in and pull that out. Okay, so just panning around this section of the garden, and we see peonies coming into flower, and we see Paeonia tree that has just been pruned. There it is over there in the border, and that's what I cut off. And again, mention that the procedure for pruning the Paeonia tree is in a separate video I did, and I'll link to it at the end of this one. And on the lawn here you can see the hoops for croquet. And on Easter weekend, which was glorious and sunny and amazing, we played croquet here on the lawn, and it was a really good day. Loved it. Okay, so we're nearly finished this little mini tour of, it's kind of like one half of the garden, and we will have a look at this area which is under construction, And this is the border that has been newly replanted, and you saw me replanting it last autumn just before I went to the Azores. There was an enormous Libertia that got lifted out of here, and then this border got replanted, and it has done well, really. It's really kind of perking up, and hopefully will start to fill in nicely soon. Now you see the black membrane there. What I yet have to do is to plant the Tetrapanix rex where that is, the ones I propagated last autumn, and I'll link to that video as well at the end of this one. So they have to go in there very soon. And yeah, it's looking quite well. Now over here we have a section of the border which I didn't plant up last autumn, and the reason for that is that it had an infestation of scotch grass in it, which is the devil's own work. So I left it fallow and applied weed killer in spring. That's why you see the burnt stuff there. But the good news is now I can plant it, and I've just kind of placed the plants here where I'm going to plant them. I could do with an extra few, but there are those hostas that I picked up at the Johnstown get-together that my friend Brian gave me. There's the veratrum that I dug up from the other place in the garden that we just saw, and some other bits, mostly that I dug up from other places in the garden. This podophyllum is looking really, really good. I love when they get enormous like this. And it has flowers. Beautiful red drooping down flowers. I love podophyllums. I have them in several places in the garden. Isn't that amazing? I think that's just amazing. And here are my nerines, which I just recently dug up from this border, and they were never doing very well because these are plants that really, really need no foliage overhanging them at all, and full sun, and best planted against a sunny wall. And I have just the spot for them, so out they came, and I can't believe how many I have. But yeah, I'll put them in their new place soon. And I guess that's pretty much all I want to show you. Oh, there's one thing over the other side I'll show you now, even though we're not really getting a tour of the other side today. This tree is just about to flower. Putting the name up on the screen. Lovely little bell-like things. And I love this Acer as well. Isn't it cute? And I love cherry blossom confetti on the lawn. It looks so amazing. It's like, you know, we've been celebrating a beautiful outdoors wedding. Really, really love it. There are those two cherry blossom trees. Looking really good together. I think they're the same variety, but I'm not altogether sure. The one over there, the furthest one, I think came without a label many years ago, so yeah. And my box is just there. And the very last thing I want to show you today is over here on the other side of the garden, which we won't visit, but I have to bring you over to show you this amazing first flowering. And this is a species rhododendron called Sino Grande, which has enormous leaves and was bought and planted for its enormous leaves. And it has this fantastic back of the leaf presentation, which looks really, really attractive, and this will get amazingly big in time. So can you imagine standing underneath it and looking up and seeing that indimen and kind of a textured back of the leaf colour? It'll be amazing. But it's producing its first flowers. And they ain't bad either. Really, really pleased with them. This bud here looks like it will produce flowers too, but over there I think that's just a growth bud. Okay, so that was my little stroll around the garden. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope at least if you weren't interested in every single plant that I mentioned, you were at least interested in some of them. And if so, we'll check back for more of this kind of video. Thanks very much for watching as always, and bye from me. Bye.